Yes.
After this, we are going to an OIC summit meeting. We will gather all the Muslim countries simply for one thing. The only reason the people of Kashmir are being subjected to this is because they're Muslims. And this is resonating in 1.3 billion Muslims. And it's very important for Muslim world to play its part, because they're only suffering because they're Muslims. The Hindu Kashmiris are not suffering. And that's why it is important for them to take a stand. Because if the Muslim countries don't take a stand for whatever reason, for their own trade or whatever agreements, that's what leads to radicalization when the governments do not express the wishes of the people and when they see injustice. So I hope that, the Muslim countries, we will have the OIC meeting next month.
Joseph Klein of Canada Free Press. You've been quoted as saying that Pakistan had originally trained al-Qaeda forces, and also that you regretted the decision by the Pakistani government after the 9/11 attack to side with America against what was then referred to as terrorists. What assurances have you given to President Trump that Pakistan will indeed help in the fight against terrorists, including within Pakistan, that are aligned with the Taliban? Because I believe the second in command in the Provisional Transition Commission or Council that was being considered has significant ties with the terrorist organization in Pakistan. So what kind of assurances are you willing to give?
Let me, what I said, and let me explain it in the exact context which I spoke. 1979, the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. 1980-81, the Americans decided to back Pakistan, to back the freedom struggle in Afghanistan. And in 80s then, jihad was declared against the Soviets, and Muslims from all over the world were invited to participate in the jihad, means a freedom struggle for Afghanistan against the Soviets. Amongst them were Al-Qaeda. All these different organizations, Mujahideen groups, all arrived in Pakistan to defeat the Soviets in Afghanistan. And of course, Pakistan trained them, but they were funded by the Americans, by the Western countries, because all the Western countries backed the Afghan jihad. So my whole point was that then Mujahideen, who were doing, the Russians would call terrorism, but then we would call them freedom fighters. They were trained in the art of guerrilla warfare, which the Russians called terrorism. And so when the Soviets left, my whole point is that the United States also packed up and left. And we were left with the groups. So I was just explaining how come when they talk about Pakistan having these groups, this is how we ended up having the groups. If it would have been, which is what we hope now, we hope that there's a proper transition from Taliban, from when the Americans pull out of Afghanistan. We hope there's a transition to a proper political solution, rather than just packing up and going as happened in '89. There will again be chaos in Afghanistan. So my whole point is that when they left, chaos happened in Afghanistan. Pakistan had the fallout. We were left with these groups, all dressed up and nowhere to go. And we were blamed in the end. After 9/11, when the same groups from Mujahideen turned into terrorists, Pakistan was blamed for it. We were given the job now to clear this up. And we ended up losing 70,000 people from 2003 onwards. And so my whole point is that either we should not have participated in the Afghan jihad. Once we had participated, then we should not have been part of the American war on terror, because they turned the people who had been trained against the Soviets and foreign occupation. When the Americans occupied Afghanistan, they turned on Pakistan.
Azim Mia and then Jhanzeb of ARY. Azim Mia, please go ahead.
Mr. Prime Minister, now you have met President Trump, so he has met Modi also. He has met him on both sides, and looks like he has got a tilt towards India. So that's one option. Secretary General says that the resolutions on Kashmir were not under Chapter 7. So according to the procedure of the Secretariat, Chapter 6 resolutions are non-binding. And in all that kind of a situation, what are the options left, except appealing to the international community? Because the international community looks like that right now, in the face of Indian-American alliance, things are getting bad. So what procedures you are going to adopt, and what is your approach, and where are you heading? Thank you.
Azim, did you say I begged President Trump?
No, you met President.
Oh, thanks.
I
don't. I've never begged from anyone. So I have met, and I apprised President Trump exactly of the situation, and I have told him, like I have told you, the gravity of the situation. This could go serious. Look, intelligent human beings start thinking ahead. I mean, you have to think of the hope for the best, but you should be prepared for the worst. The worst scenario in this is unthinkable. Normal human beings do not think of that. And so therefore, it is my job to tell them, in my opinion, things will deteriorate. We will keep them apprised. At least we have informed the world community what's going on. And as time goes on, and I fear that this is going to end up in a massacre, at least we will be able to tell the world community. And if India blames Pakistan for this, then at least the world would know about it. Previously, it was anything that happened in India. Look, what has been going on in the past? After 9/11, you used that magic word, Islamic terrorism, and all humanitarian rights were waved aside. You could do whatever you like with the people, provided you could term them as Islamic terrorists. And this is exactly what Narendra Modi is doing. This near genocide which he's about to commit, he's blaming it on Islamic terrorism, hoping that he'll get away with it. And that's why it's important for us to communicate with the Western world and civilized world and tell them what is happening. That's why we're telling them, send your own observers and find out what's happening. If India has nothing to worry about, and guess what the excuse of shutting down, putting people under curfew and shutting them in their houses for 50 days, the excuse is that this is to develop Kashmir. This is for prosperity of Kashmir. This is what the Narendra Modi position is. So it's important for us to tell the world, and I know now, I'm satisfied that at least everyone knows. I've apprised all the major world leaders of the situation in Kashmir.
The follow-up question is...
No, Azimia. No, Azimia. No, Azimia. There are other people who want to ask a question. Go ahead, Jhanzeb.